So I've never made a video about Kiss, and of all the members, the one I probably would have made a video about anyway would have been Ace. So after his tragic passing, now seems like the time. So let's do this. This is the story of Ace Frehley and Kiss. Ace was so cool. He was born Paul Frehley in the Bronx in the spring of 1951, the youngest of 3 children. In high school, he was such a cool cat that he got the nickname Ace from his friends for his ability to make women fall in love with him. He was street smart and a little bit of a prankster. He became interested in music from a young age, a total natural at guitar, and entirely self-taught. Later in 1973, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons had just left their previous band, Wicked Lester, and were trying to start a new group with a harder, more theatrical rock sound in Manhattan. Peter Criss had placed an ad in Rolling Stone magazine as a drummer looking for a band, and after he joined, they desperately started looking around for a lead guitar player, eventually placing an ad of their own in the Village Voice, which apparently said, "Lead guitarist wanted with flash and ability. Album out soon. No time wasters." They say he showed up to the audition wearing 2 different color shoes. He was quiet, and he was carrying his Gibson Les Paul. When he plugged it in, he started playing this melodic, punchy, thick guitar, just like strong and perfect for a hard rock band in the mid-70s. And so they were off, heavily inspired at the time by glam rock and shock rock artists like David Bowie, Alice Cooper, and the New York Dolls, combined with harder rock acts like Led Zeppelin and The Who. They had this idea to become characters, and they started experimenting with makeup pretty early on. Each member developed their own distinct stage persona. Paul Stanley was the star child. Gene Simmons was the demon. Peter chose the Catman. And finally, Ace, the spaceman, which reflected his love of science fiction and his quirky, otherworldly personality. The makeup, of course, was the thing that made the band blow up the way they did. Ace grew to be a brilliant guitarist. He had a legendary sense of humor, and he was said to be so laid back that Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley often got annoyed with him. But he made up for it the minute he strapped on that guitar. It was always magic. Not to mention that he became a fan favorite for his fun, humble, humorous nature. He officially left Kiss in 1982. He started his own band, Frehley's Comet, which is such fun, upbeat music. They had moderate commercial success, but they had a great time doing it, and Ace really proved to other members of Kiss that he could make it without them. This renewed respect for each other was part of the reason that they were able to get back together in the 90s. For their massive comeback tour in 1996, one of the most successful in the history of rock and roll, as a matter of fact. But it wouldn't last. By the end of the 90s, Kiss hung it up officially, playing for the last time with all 4 original members in April 2001. Ace Frehley is an example of a rock star with an undeniable gift, but who never let the fame go to his head. He remained true to himself right to the end, a man who was funny, curious, talented, and authentic.